In the desert city of Palmyra, where ancient Roman columns once witnessed the rise and fall of empires, a new chapter of Middle Eastern bloodshed is being written. 50,000 Syrian troops mass in the shadows of history's ruins, their engines thundering across sand that has drunk the blood of civilizations for millennia. Their target? 2 oil-rich provinces controlled by America's former allies in the war against ISIS. Damascus has drawn a line in the sand. The Kurdish-led Syrian Democratic Forces have until October to surrender Raqqa and Deir ez-Zor, or face annihilation. What the world doesn't know is that this isn't just another territorial grab. It's the final betrayal of the warriors who bled alongside American soldiers to destroy the Islamic State's caliphate. It is more than just about a simple conflict. It is a complex dynamic of geopolitical maneuvering, broken promises, and the cold, hard realities of a war-torn region. Stick around, because by the end of this video, you will get to understand exactly how political convenience has taken priority over human lives. The man behind this chilling ultimatum is Ahmad al-Sharaa, a man whose transformation is a story so shocking it would be unbelievable if it weren't a cold, hard fact. After a December 2024 coup, the former ISIS commander rose from the ashes of terror to become Syria's new president. With him in power, the fragile March agreement for the SDF to join the Syrian government, a plan once filled with so much hope, collapsed in a single, gruesome act of horror. It fell apart after the March 2025 massacre of 1,600 Alawites on the Syrian coast. The brutal slaughter shattered any pretense of trust and sent a clear, terrifying message to every minority group in Syria, especially the Kurds. Submission to this new government is a one-way ticket to death. Now, with the October 2025 deadline looming, a new conflict is brewing. Al-Sharaa commands a force of 50,000 hardened Syrian troops preparing staging grounds in Raqqa and Sukna. Their target is the SDF, a fighting force of 70,000 men and women. But this is beyond a simple numbers game. The SDF's strength is a mirage, as more than 30% of its fighters are Arabs, many with deep-seated grievances against the Kurds. Their loyalty is not a given, and their allegiances are being tested daily. The stakes are immense, both in terms of human lives and national wealth, as northeast Syria controls 95% of the country's oil and gas resources. America's betrayal is not a sudden act, but a slow, unfolding tragedy. It began with a meeting in Riyadh where President Donald Trump met with al-Sharaa. The president's praise for the new Syrian leader, calling him strong and attractive, was a seismic shift in U.S. foreign policy, signaling a chilling new allegiance. Then, in a closed-door meeting, U.S. Special Envoy Tom Barrack delivered a stark warning to the Kurds. Federalism doesn't work. It's either integration or annihilation. Following this chilling advice, the U.S. began a deliberate troop drawdown, leaving only a skeleton force at the Al-Tanf base in the south. It is widely believed that the Syrian offensive won't happen without a green light from America. The historical irony is a bitter pill to swallow. The SDF, who defeated ISIS with U.S. backing, now face destruction with U.S. blessing. This is not just a strategic withdrawal, it is an abandonment, leaving an ally to face a grim fate alone. The fighters who stood side by side with American soldiers, who sacrificed their lives to end the terror of the Islamic State, are now being left to face an army led by a former jihadist. The legacy of American sacrifice is being washed away by the tide of political convenience, leaving a void that will be filled with violence and despair. The silence of the international community is deafening as the world turns a blind eye to the looming threat of genocide. But little do the Kurdish-led forces know that the betrayal isn't just coming from Washington. A three-pronged assault is being meticulously prepared to tear their world apart. It is a plan of overwhelming force and cunning deception, designed to strike from all sides and leave no room for escape. A force of Turkish-backed Syrian National Army soldiers positioned near the Tishreen Dam, the only intact bridge across the Euphrates, and a strategic choke point ready to be used as a dagger in the SDF's back. These forces are well-trained and motivated by their own bitter history with the Kurds, a decade of border skirmishes and territorial disputes. For them, this isn't just a military operation. It's a long-awaited opportunity for revenge. Their mission is to seize the dam, cut off any escape routes to the north, and prevent reinforcements from crossing the river, effectively trapping the SDF between two advancing armies. The third and most chilling prong is a coordinated betrayal by the eastern flank, made up of local Arab tribal militias who were once allies of the SDF. They are preparing for a synchronized uprising, an act of treachery that will hit the SDF from within their own ranks. The Syrian plan is a masterpiece of military strategy, designed not just to win, but to annihilate. And yet, even as Damascus believes its plan is foolproof, intelligence agencies like the Institute for the Study of War remain deeply skeptical. They question the lack of satellite confirmation of the troop movements, noting a strange, almost unnatural silence from the usually hyper-vigilant spy satellites. In a world where every tank and troop movement is tracked from space, this lack of visual evidence raises a critical question. Is this a real mobilization, or a psychological operation designed to terrorize the SDF into surrender? The Institute also highlights a potential strategic weakness in the plan. The positioning of forces near Rusafa, meant to cut off SDF communication lines between Deir Hafar and Raqqa, could actually expose the Syrian forces to a counterattack. It's a high-risk gamble, a move that could lead to a swift victory or a devastating defeat if the SDF proves more resilient than anticipated. The most dangerous element of this volatile situation lies with the Arab tribes, a ticking powder keg waiting to explode. The demographic reality is chilling. With 21,000 Arab fighters within the 70,000-strong SDF, the conflict is not just on the battlefield, but within the ranks themselves. A recent incident on August 14th in Garanij, where tribal fighters surrounded an SDF pharmacy mission and took 4 soldiers hostage, shows how fragile the loyalty is. This was not a random act of violence. It was a test, a signal, a warning of what is to come. Now, tribal leaders from the Al-Naim, Al-Bushaban, Qais Aylan, and Al-Bakara are calling for a general mobilization against the Kurds. The tension is rooted in historical grievances, with a decade of Kurdish land grabs in Arab territories. They feel they have been marginalized, their land and resources taken by force. A leader from the Al-Bakara tribe, Sheikh Faraj al-Salama, has issued a chilling warning. Everyone is waiting for the right moment to begin moving. It's a powder keg waiting for a single spark, and the 2023 clashes in Deir ez-Zor, sparked by the arrest of an Arab leader on oil theft charges, serve as a grim reminder of how quickly things can spiral into all-out war. The SDF must face the fact that their enemy is not just at the gate, but within their own ranks, waiting for the right moment to strike. This is not a war of armies, but a war for survival, and the lines of loyalty are written in sand, ready to be erased by the first gust of wind. The fate of the SDF, and indeed the future of Syria's oil-rich provinces, may very well rest on the loyalties of these Arab fighters, who are caught between their past grievances and their uncertain future. Still, in this chaotic and tense environment, where armies are poised for war and loyalties are hanging by a thread, the first sparks of violence are already flying. On August 12th, the SDF issued a grim warning. Damascus-backed groups were mounting small but deadly provocations near Deir Hafar, a strategic city that controls the roads leading into the heart of Raqqa province. The air over the contested neighborhoods of Sheikh Maqsood and Ashrafia was thick with the high-pitched buzz of unseen eyes. Reconnaissance drones, silent and deadly, circled like digital vultures, gathering intelligence and signaling the coming storm. The peaceful hum of daily life was replaced by a sense of dread until one drone, its mission complete, crashed and exploded. It was a small incident, but it was a powerful signal, a shot signaling that the war had already begun. In response, the SDF issued a clear ultimatum of their own. If these attacks persist, we will be compelled to defend ourselves. The words were not a plea, but a promise. The fragile peace was over. This isn't just a new conflict. It's the breaking of an old ceasefire. The April 2025 agreement, meant to bring peace and stability, has crumbled under coordinated pressure from Damascus and its allies. The promises of peace have been washed away by a rising tide of violence, and the body count is mounting daily. According to the Syrian Observatory, 543 people have been killed since the escalation began in December. The numbers tell a grim story of a war that has been quietly raging for months, just below the surface of international headlines. Among the dead are 54 innocent civilians caught in the crossfire, 411 Turkish-backed fighters, and 78 members of the SDF. These are not just statistics. They are lives, families, and futures destroyed by a conflict that seems to have no end. The Kurdish fears are not imagined. They are based on a chilling and bloody precedent. Recall that in March 2025, Syrian forces carried out a horrific massacre of 1,600 Alawites on the coast, an act of pure horror that shattered minority trust forever. The blood of the innocent stained the coastal sands, sending a shiver of fear through every community in the country. Then in July, another bloodbath unfolded as hundreds of Druze were killed in Suwaida, a massacre that was only stopped when Israeli jets bombed Damascus in a protection mission. These gruesome events have hardened the SDF's resolve. Kurdish leader Sihanuk Debo's defiance is clear and unwavering. Laying down arms by the SDF is not up for discussion. The SDF knows that the Syrian army, now largely comprised of Sunni extremists from multiple armed factions, is not a safe place for them. Surrendering their weapons would be a death sentence, a one-way ticket to a massacre. This final betrayal feels inevitable. The same fighters who stood against ISIS and brought stability to their region are now being told to submit to an army that just months ago was killing its own people. The choice is not between war and peace, but between a fighting chance and certain annihilation. They have seen the brutality of the new Syrian government, and they know what fate awaits them if they are disarmed. Their defiance is not born of pride, but of a desperate, primal need to survive. The stage is now set for the final bloody act. As the Syrian military mobilizes and the Arab tribes prepare to turn on their allies, a dangerous game of international chess is playing out behind the scenes, far from the burning sands of Palmyra. Israel has been given a non-intervention guarantee from Damascus, a crucial promise after the July bombing in Suwaida that had put Tel Aviv on high alert. This agreement ensures that Israel stays out of the coming conflict, a move that is as much about strategic convenience as it is about maintaining a delicate regional balance. Turkey has also made its position clear, with Ankara confirming its military support for combating terrorist organizations. For Turkey, this is a long-awaited opportunity to finally eliminate the Kurdish forces on its southern border, a goal it has pursued for decades. The United States, meanwhile, is in the final stages of its withdrawal, a retreat that began with the evacuation of its Iraq bases by September and will soon continue in Syria. This is the ultimate paradox. While the European Union maps out a plan to ease sanctions on Syria's new extremist government, it keeps the HTS, its leader's former group, on the terrorist list. The regional realignment is happening at a dizzying pace, with Saudi-Turkish pressure driving U.S.-Damascus normalization. The allies of yesterday are becoming the enemies of today, and the enemies of yesterday are becoming the convenient partners of a new, darker era. The world is changing, but for the Kurds, the future looks tragically familiar. This path has only one end, a point of no return. The greatest threat is not just the advancing Syrian army, but an ISIS resurgence. 50,000 detained fighters and their families in the Al-Hol camp are awaiting the chaos, a ticking time bomb just miles from the coming conflict. Any disruption in security could unleash them, bringing a new wave of terror to the region and the world. A humanitarian catastrophe looms, with tens of thousands of Kurdish civilians facing displacement. Or worse, they will be caught between a merciless Syrian military and the treacherous Arab militias, with nowhere to run and nowhere to hide. Syria's oil wealth is at stake, as the SDF threatens to destroy the infrastructure rather than let it fall into Damascus's hands. The act of destroying their own resources is a final, desperate act of defiance, a way of ensuring that their betrayal will not be profitable. The federal dream, a decade-long struggle for Kurdish autonomy, is dying. A decade of sacrifice, of fighting, and of hope is about to be extinguished. The current events are just another chapter in the century-long Kurdish struggle for survival, a history marked by betrayal, displacement, and genocide. By October 1st, 2025, the map of Syria will be redrawn in blood and betrayal. The Kurdish warriors who fought alongside American special forces in the rubble of Raqqa, who bled to destroy ISIS's caliphate, who guarded thousands of jihadist prisoners so they couldn't return to terrorize the world. These same fighters now face annihilation by former ISIS commanders wearing government uniforms.
Let me be more clear. What the Israelis are saying is they will meet step by step whatever our disarmament plan is. When I say our, I'm speaking about Lebanese, right? That on August 31st, we're coming back with some plan. I don't know what it is.
America's withdrawal leaves its most loyal Middle Eastern allies to face genocide alone. Turkey achieves its long-sought Kurdish elimination, and Syria's new extremist government consolidates control over the oil that will fuel its next war. In the burning fields of Deir ez-Zor and the ancient streets of Raqqa, the final betrayal of the war on terror reaches its bloody climax. The legacy of American sacrifice is being washed away by the tide of political convenience, leaving a void that will be filled with violence and despair